Hello everyone and welcome to my first After Effects tutorial here on my channel New Home Cinema. My name is Benjamin and today I want to teach you how to create an awesome space scene with an awesome planet. You will also get some custom textures in the download pack, which is linked in the description. And first I wanted to do a whole space scene with Metroids and asteroids and all this stuff. But I thought the planet alone is so complex and you can do so much stuff with the plugin that we are using that I show you in this tutorial just the plugin and another plugin and how to combine those. Both plugins are free and the download links are also in the description. And in a second part I show you how to integrate 3D models with Element 3D by Video Copilot into the scene to make it even more realistic and to create a better whole looking scene. So first off, we're going to have a look at the first plugin that we're using, which is VC Orb by Video Copilot. By the way, Andrew Kramer, who created the plugin, well done, great job. What is VC Orb? I will show you now. I have already our project files here. We first create a new composition. I just dragged the stars folder, which will be my background layer, onto the new comp icon, and here we go. Then I go to layer, new, solid. Basically it doesn't matter which color the solid is. Make a comp size, click OK. Now I'm going to Effects, Video Copilot and VC Orb. Another way to do it, if you have VX Console, which is also a free plugin, press your shortcut and FX Console pops up. I type in Orb, press OK, and here we are. Now we've created a 3D sphere with VC Orb, which is basically a light version of Element 3D, just to creating orbs or spheres and basically a half sphere or a hemisphere, which you can use, for example, to do a space dome or a force field. It's also great for a force field. I will show you how to do this later on also in this tutorial. You can put several textures on it and bump maps. You can, and I can quickly show you, illuminate it and stuff. Pretty awesome stuff what you can do with it. But for now we're going to make a sphere, and first thing is we're going to create a new camera, since the camera is there basically to move it. We can also move it with the position tag, but it's easier with the camera, especially when we're going to animate it later on. So a camera, we're choosing a very wide lens, like a 24mm lens, and we press OK, and here we go. Now if we press C on our keyboard or go to the camera icon over here, we can animate it. And we can change the position of the camera. We can zoom in. This is what we're going to do now. Can zoom out. We can move it in our scene. So in Andrew Kramer's tutorial on VC Orb, he uses another orb to creating the background. We don't do this in this tutorial. Why? It doesn't make sense for the scene that we are creating that we have a whole 3D background, so just the background plate is totally fine and totally okay. Then we rename our layer. Just press enter on your keyboard while selecting the layer, and we call it planet for now. So now we import our for other textures. Very important, in the download pack, you don't have the Earth Cloud 6K JPEG. This texture comes with VC Orb, and you can download it in the description where the VC Orb download is, basically. So we go back to our planet, go to the effects control panel, and first we apply our textures. So in this case we have 3 textures. I can show you really quick. One is the normal map, which tells us basically when we have the normal map where are bumps in the normal map, but you will see it later on. We have the gloss map and we have the 8K Mars map. We go to map, diffuse layer, and we select the 8K Mars. And here we go. And second, we're going to the bump map layer and select the normal. You saw the normal was this pink, weirdish looking map. But now, when this is on, you see that we get some more noisy reflection and stuff. But since this is not a bump map, but a normal map, we click normal map, and now you can sorry, I'm not an English native speaker, so you can clearly see, especially if we rotate it, that we really have some bumps in here. We can even scale it up a bit to make it a bit more clear. You can see here or here, this is perfect to see. Now the surface is basically 3D as well, even though this is a bit extreme in my opinion. So we lower it a bit, say to 1.5. Yeah, that's good. That's good. And this already looks awesome in my opinion. Yeah. This is fantastic. But we are going to make it even more realistic. And for that, first we take the 8K mask gloss layer and put it to the glossiness layer here. So awesome, perfect. Put this down to quarter. That's fine for the moment. Now we have basically our planet. We can now do some minor changes to make it look better. The first thing that we're going to do is we can play with the reflectivity, we can play with the glossiness. As you can see, it got more matte or more glossy, and we want to have it a bit more glossy. Let's put it to, yeah, around about 70, that's fine. Reflectivity, for now, we leave it, but we change the color. We go into some kind of mint here in the Elimination color, and we put it up a bit. This now looks a bit weird, I know that. But now the cool thing, if we go to Elimination options, first off, we lower the bump influence. The bump influence means that the illumination here wraps around our 3D surface, and we don't want that. Because we want to use the illumination just for a haze around the planet. So we lower the bump influence. You can see it flattens this. Then we go to a Fresnel, put it up to 1, and now the Fresnel buyers, so that we just have the illumination here around the planet. That's basically already nearly perfect. So we close our tabs. It's cool. Perfect. Second thing we do, we create another planet, another orb, going to layer, new, solid, press again OK. Again, effects, video copilot orb or VX console, VC Orb. And as I told you before, the earth clouds texture comes with VC Orb, but we change it a bit. So what we are going to do is right click on the layer, pre-compose, leave all attributes, and we call this just clouds texture, and we press OK. Now double click on the cloud texture, and basically this is our texture. It looks weird at the moment, but now we have two ways to use this. The first way, I will also show you, this is also what Andrew Kramer says what to do, is to go to extract, use the extract effect, bring it a bit to the right, bring it a bit to the left, and now we get rid of all the blacks and basically have an alpha map. This is pretty cool, but I think you can do it a bit simpler if you shift channels. So go in, find the shift channels effect, and set the alpha to luminance. And here we go. We have the same effect. We can now lower the opacity, for example. Just there. And we change the color, and we do it by applying a tint effect. So again, to the effects panel, tint, take the blacks and make it a bit dark grayish. Perfect. If we now apply, and we have to rename this clouds, if we now apply the clouds texture to the maps, diffuse map, clouds texture, we can see that where all the blacks were before, here, this is transparent, and we just see the white parts. Pretty cool. We pump it up a bit, and when we animate it, you can see we have a real atmosphere around our planet. But we have some issues with it, especially if I go to the full render, you can see it. We have this weird frame around our planet. We don't want this. Here it looks kind of cool in my opinion, but here it looks just off. But there is a very easy way to fix it. We go to advanced options, and there we have edge feather and edge shrink. What it does, it feathers, like if you use a mask in After Effects, it feathers this area here. So we pump it up a bit, and we can see how it feathers it. This is the first thing we do, and then we shrink it. Shrinking is basically shrinking it. So we line it up with our planet, and here we go. We have a great looking Mars for now. Next thing we do, right click on our clouds layer, and we go to layer styles, drop shadow. Bam. This looks a bit off, but we will get it clear. We go again, our clouds, layer styles, drop shadow. We lower the opacity to around 50. That's perfect. Check that this is multiply. You can also have it normal, but multiply fits in a bit better in my opinion. The spread, just a tiny bit, like 4 or 5 is fine. Distance is fine. Let's have a look. Yeah, we have to be sure that we don't overlay here, so be careful with the distance, but 3 is fine. Yeah, that's fine, that's perfect size. And we can give it a bit of noise that makes it even more realistic. Cool. So now we close this layer. And the last thing we do on the clouds is we give it a little bit of illumination. But just a tiny bit, like 0.30. Another thing that we can do to make the clouds look even better is to also use the bump layer for the clouds. So bump layer, clouds texture, and you see they get a bit more three-dimensional. Also looks very cool in my opinion. So if we now animate the clouds, you can see it looks pretty cool. Very cool. So now we have a good looking planet within just a couple of minutes. Next thing we do is we apply a light. We apply a parallel light, so we go to layer, new, light. We make it white, 100%, cast shadows, and say okay. And now you see our planet gets a dark side, the dark side of the moon. So I'll set the render to third for the moment. It's fine. And we see that we have a problem here. Since these clouds are illuminated, you can see them on the dark side, but we don't want that. So what we're going to do, we go to our clouds layer, illumination options, shadow light, and we turn this up. But just a tiny bit. We want to have this also visible here on the edge. I just think this looks more realistic and better if we have it like this. Perfect. This looks good. Another thing that bothers me now, but we can easily fix it, is the clouds have two sharp edges here. What we can do is putting a Gaussian blur, so basically effects, blur, and sharpen, Gaussian blur, and just a tiny bit. That looks good. That looks good. Yeah, 3.1 looks perfect, in my opinion. So perfect. So now we have the light source from the right, we have our background, and there we find our first problem. The planet doesn't fit the background. Since this is a very blue background, it doesn't look right. If we look at like this, it looks better. So what we do now, we go into a background layer, which is the stars layer, and I apply a 4-color gradient to it. First off, it looks terrible. I know that. That's fine. But we make it look better. We go to lighten, and we lower the opacity a bit. Perfect. We go to the blue color and make it the same, nearly the same mintish color that we had the hue in. Press OK. And simply copy it to those three. And here we go complementaire and make it a bit orange. maybe a bit red or orange. Yeah, since we have a red planet, we go to the marker here and we place it here. Now we go to effects, again a tint effect. We'll lower the opacity here. Make it a bit more reddish. Okay. That looks good for now. We're going to do an overall color correction later on, but this looks very good for now. So now, one of the cool secrets of the trailer I had this very cool haze around the planet. So this haze we have here is very small. And yeah, it's boring basically. So what we're going to do is we use another plugin by Video Copilot, also a free plugin, and this plugin is, was designed to create lightsabers basically, but we use it now to create an awesome haze around our planet. So what we do is click on our stars, layer, go to layer, new, solid, make a comp size, click OK. We solo it for a moment so that you can see what happens. And we can go also effects, Video Copilot, saber. And what it does, it creates a lightsaber. And you can animate the lightsaber. Pretty awesome tool because you can do so much awesome stuff with it. And we are using it, for example, for a haze, but you can also do some laser beams and flames, but I will show you it. So first we go to render settings, composite settings, and go to transparent. And what it does, it shows us the laser basically not on the black but on the background. And second thing we do, we go to our ellipse tool. You can also just play tap Q on your keyboard till you get to the ellipse tool. We draw an ellipse, press shift, and we make it round about the size of the planet. Then we press V on our keyboard, or go to the arrow here to get the selection tool, and we place it roughly in the middle of our planet. It just needs to be roughly, not perfect. This is fine. Now we can go to the transform settings and we can scale it up a bit. And we can place it there. Perfect. What we're going to do now is we go to customize core, core type where it says saber, and we click on it and say layer mask. What it does now is basically it uses the mask as a path for the laser itself. So as you can see now, we already have a very nice, even though boring, haze around the planet. So to spice it up a bit, we're going to go to the preset folder. You can also do it also manually within here, but we can simply use the preset tab and go to haze. Now you see that the color changed, and when we scroll in, we have some, and let's do it quarter. I can't see it now, just play it. It's moving. We have some kind of energy clouds on it. And in my opinion, this looks just fantastic, even though it's a bit fast. And if we play it through, you see that this is a bit fast. But the clouds itself look fantastic. So the color is not what we are looking for. Since we have this greenish color tone here, we do the same, maybe a bit more blue into it. That's good. And we can play with the bias to make it a bit larger for now. Perfect. And now we go to our distortion tab. Click to glow distortion. And then we see wind speed and noise speed. And we put the wind speed of around about 4 and the noise speed to 0.02. And we do the same for the core distortion. So wind speed 0.20 and the noise speed way down to 2. Let's say 2. Okay. Now it's way more subtle. And especially, I found out in space scenes, don't use very quick movements or animations. In my opinion, this doesn't look good. So, just a subtle movement. Yeah, just subtle. Perfect. And if you look at the full render, this is cool. Yeah, we have this cool clouds here. This looks already pretty good. So, what we can do now, another cool thing, and let's just rename it Saber or Haze. We can, if we have a shadow side here, so we don't want the haze to be here. And this is pretty cool and pretty easy to make that. So let's solo it for a moment. So we have the end offset, and you can see that I can make it as small or big as I want it to be. So and then we can turn it. Not quite there. Here and round offset here. That's good. What we can do now, we can just copy the layer. So edit, duplicate layer, or press Ctrl D to duplicate it. Take another color, like a more orange one. It's good. Solo it. And we want to have this orange color now here. So what we do, we make it a bit smaller. Smaller, not larger. So that this fits. Perfect. Check. Because then we can do another light. So now we have an orange haze here, this greenish haze here. And now we can use a second light, just a small spotlight, to let it glow a bit orange here, which looks normally pretty cool in my opinion. So, solid, sorry. We go to layer, new, light. Now we get a spotlight. We make it a bit orange. Have a look at the color later on. Press OK. Now we have it on the totally complete false side. We want to have it here. That's good. So that we still have a bit of a shadow here. We can go into the light options. We can make the cone a bit smaller. And we can lower the intensity so that we just have this very light illumination here, which looks, look at the full render, pretty cool. Just wait for it. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And the last step we do now in this tutorial is we create a new layer, an adjustment layer. We can use curves effect or for color grading, or in my case I'm going to get to a lumetri color. You can also go to effects, color corrections, lumetri, color. We go to curves. We give it a bit more contrast, not too much. In the deeps, yeah. Not too high, yeah, that's pretty good. And the greens. And we lower the reds a bit to get this bluish interstellar look. Even I can do it a bit more here. And yeah, that's pretty good. But if you're not so familiar with curves, you can also adjust the blacks here a bit, or the whites to make it a bit more light. Basically, you can darken the shadows a bit, or you even can put a lot to it. There's some, but I would do it in creative. There's some LUTs here, Cinespace, which is a bit extreme, so you can lower it a bit. Don't like this too much, but I can show you some other LUTs, which are basically color profiles. You can do it black and white or whatever. There was a lot, if I'm not mistaken, which was pretty cool. Was it this one? No. Was it the Matrix Blue? Yeah, this one is pretty nice, especially if we pump up the shadow tint and make it like this. It's not that bad, but normally I create some LUTs by myself in Photoshop or in DaVinci Resolve, but normally I don't use these LUTs, even though this doesn't look bad. Yeah, lower the saturation a bit, so we can keep it basically. And now what we have is an awesome looking planet, and we can quickly animate it. So that you can see the final result. Just a tiny bit, so that we have a tiny animation in here. We can also zoom in into the planet. We can make it larger, smaller, whatever we want. One thing is, when you now use the camera to zoom in or zoom out, the haze doesn't work anymore. So you have to, let's make it full. The both saber layers have to be adjusted manually. But this is not a big of a deal, I think. So now we have an awesome looking planet. And in the next tutorial, I will show you how my workflow with Element 3Ds and with a real color grading for the whole scene, the lighting setup then. Oh, before I forget, I will show you one more very, very, very cool thing with Orb. I recently discovered. So let's put out the class, let's put out the parallel line and also the spotlight for now. Yeah. You can even do some holographic planet type thingy, which is pretty cool. And I want to show you that as well. So because I think this is pretty cool. So saber 1 and 2 out. The adjustment layer. If we go to our mask layer, click on it and we pre-compose it. And we double click on it and layer new solid, and we'll make the solid back, make comp size. We can now apply an effect which is called grid to it, which basically is a grid. And the cool thing is this grid is also an alpha grid. So you can see now, and this is very cool, that we basically have, yeah, just a grid planet. And if we go to our planet layer and we select surface, front, all, we have basically a perfect hologram. We can now make it glow either using this or put on a glow effect. Make it red, for example, and bring up the intensity a bit. We can also use a glow effect then here on the layer. But now, and this is a very cool feature, Orb, or VC Orb, basically uses really alpha mattes. We saw it before with the clouds, but with this surface all front or back feature, which is now the back side, you have a lot of cool possibilities. And with this you can also use it as an force field, for example. Yeah, you can now also animate it. Then the surface is animated. Let me show you real quick. Let's put a turbulent displace, for example, on it. Yeah, and we can quickly animate this, even though it's not beautiful at all, but we can animate it. Then it's also animated in here. So you get now the waves, and as you can see now, you can see it moves. So the texture itself is now animated, as you can see, which is pretty cool in my opinion. And you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. just a small tip before I end this tutorial. This tutorial is already about 40 minutes. Wow. Faster than I expected it. So this is for now. I hope you learned something. As I said, it was my first After Effects tutorial. So thank you very much for listening to me. If you want to see more tutorials, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and please give me some feedback. Well, maybe think that I can do better. I want to learn also with you, not only After Effects, but also doing tutorials. So please give me some feedback, positive and also negative. I want to learn. So thank you very much for listening to me, and have a great day. See you all in the next tutorial, where we put some Metroids or asteroids into the scene. Thank you very much.